Page 55 in grammar, 55. All right, we're going to talk about clauses. You guys know about those already. So this is kind of review, page 55. So a clause is a group of related words that contains both a subject and a verb. I've mentioned this to you before. I'm just going to keep repeating it until you guys really understand. There's a difference between phrases and clauses because we have prepositional phrases. Those do not have verbs in them. They have a preposition and a noun, but no verb. But clauses do have verbs, and they might have nouns too, but clauses have verbs. That's the difference between clauses and phrases. So we have lots of different types of clauses. These are called dependent clauses. And the word dependent means that it depends on, like it counts on, the rest of the sentence in order for it to be complete. So a dependent clause by itself is not a complete sentence. It's added to another sentence to make it complete, okay? Or another part of a sentence, I should say. So a dependent clause is a clause that cannot stand alone as a sentence because it does not express a complete thought. It's only a partial thought. Dependent clauses begin with a word that causes them to be an incomplete thought. In this book, you've learned 3 types of dependent clauses. You already know these. A who, which clause, you guys use those in your writing already. It begins with the word who or which. So by itself, when you begin a sentence with the word who or which, it is not complete. So you can add a who clause or a which clause to a sentence like you guys have been doing, but it cannot stand alone. The same is true for the that clause. That clauses begin with that. And if you try to start a sentence with the word that, it's not complete. That's not grammatically correct. So these clauses that begin with that are added to another part of the sentence. And then the adverb clause, which you know is the www.asia.b. That's kind of new to some of you, but that clause is the same. You can't start with one of those words in a sentence. This is a dependent clause. We add it to another part of a sentence, okay? So a dependent clause must be added to a main clause. So let's talk about main clauses. That is a complete thought. Those are complete sentences. Main clauses are. So a main clause is a clause because it contains a subject and a verb. A main clause expresses a complete thought, so it can stand alone as a sentence. That's the only clause that does. All these other clauses are dependent. They don't stand alone, but the main clause does. Families lived in the forest. That's an example of a main clause. You've got your subject families, you've got your verb lived, and then the rest of the sentence. So every sentence must have a main clause. Here they've added a dependent clause. This is going to be one of those adverb clauses, the Asia word, .b. Families lived in the forest because they lost their homes. So now this clause here, because they lost their homes, that doesn't work by itself. It's not a complete thought, but you can add it to a main clause and it becomes complete. In addition to a main clause, a sentence may include one or more dependent clauses. So as you mark this in your grammar books, you're going to place square brackets around the main clause. That's MC. Square brackets are different than parentheses. Okay. Write V above each verb and S above each subject. Here's your example. Usually, Robin practiced archery in the morning. This is a main clause. Robin practiced archery in the morning. Notice they didn't include usually. That's because that's an opener. That's an LY opener. You guys are learning about openers now. So when you're looking for a main clause, do not include the opener, the LY opener. I'll say it that way. Robin practiced archery in the morning. When you mark the main clause with square brackets, begin with the subject of the main clause. Sometimes an article or adjectives will come before the subject. Okay, but it usually starts with the subject near the front of it. Here we have think about it. think about that word because. We know it's part of an adverb clause. It's the .b part of the Asia clause. But if you change it and add because of, sometimes we do that, that's okay. But it was no longer considered a clause, it's considered a prepositional phrase. So it says, the word because usually begins an adverb clause. However, when because is followed by of, the two words together are a preposition. Because of. It's really important that you understand this because in your writing and the other part of the class, like when you're writing about what have you guys been working on? Oh yeah, dangerous birds. If you're describing why something is the way it is, like they eat those chorusing beetles, that's why they're poisonous. You want to use because they eat chorusing beetles. You don't want to say because of. That changes it to a preposition. So look at these examples right here, and we'll go over this more. The adverb clause right here says, Robin aimed carefully because he wanted the prize. That's a clause because you have the verb wanted, because he wanted the prize. The pattern is the WWW word because plus the subject he plus the verb wanted. But here it is as a prepositional phrase. Robin aimed carefully because of the prize. Because of the prize does not have a verb. So that follows this pattern, preposition because of plus noun prize, no verb. The differences between phrases and clauses. So whenever you have because of, it changes it to a phrase. And when you're describing why something is the way it is without the word of, then it's a clause. Okay, those are the two differences there. In the margin over here are just some notes, quick notes about what we just talked about. So if you ever want to go back and refresh your memory, like you're doing your homework and you're trying to remember what is a main clause, you can look right here in these side notes. That'll help you too. All right, let's keep going. Let's go to the practice page. Anybody feel like reading it today? Thank you, Grayson. Go for it.
Robin's followers declared that they would rob everyone who had robbed them.
Good. Okay, so declared is our vocabulary, and basically it's saying something in a strong and confident way, right? I declare today is pancake day. Let's declare it, man. Let's have some pancakes. I think I'm hungry. Do you ever have peanut butter on your pancakes? Side note, I know I'm going off topic. Oh yeah, Grayson knows about that. No. Zach, have you had peanut butter on your pancakes? I'm just saying, Christian, you need to try it. Well, do you like peanut butter, Christian? Oh, well then never mind. You won't like it. But if you like peanut butter, it takes pancakes to a whole new level. I'm just saying. Pretty awesome. Okay, back to grammar. Check by vocabulary. We have one noun. Christian, do you see the noun in there?
Robin? Wait, no, followers.
There you go. Followers. Yes, that's the noun. I'm glad you didn't say Robins because that has an apostrophe, so that changes that a little bit. Pronouns, Zach, where are the pronouns? Remember, those are he, she, that, they, them, those types of words. There's two, three, actually. You see them there, Zach? Look for words like he, she, they, them, it. See any of those types of words in there? Oh, wait, you're muted.
They.
There we go.
No.
They is a
Top.
pronoun. What else?
Um. He, she, they. Is had a pronoun?
No, had's going to be a verb, actually. There's another one at the end, though. This one here.
Oh yeah, them.
Them. So anytime you have a word that takes the place of something else, like this is talking about a group of people. These followers are groups of people. So they're referring back to them rather than using followers again and again and again. They use they and them. And then this one, everyone, this is actually an indefinite pronoun. Remember we talked about those a couple weeks ago, or last week, maybe it was. Everyone is referring to people. So looking for those words, Zach, that refer to someone else or a group of people or things. Those are what pronouns do. They refer back to a noun earlier in the sentence. All right, adjectives. Let's see, Christian or Grayson. Let's go back to Grayson. Do you know where the adjective is?
Was it? Oh no.
I'll
I
give you, I'll give you a clue. So look at followers.
Oh, Robbins?
There you go. Whose followers are they? They're Robin's followers. So because of that apostrophe S, it changes it to an adjective. So if you get stuck on adjectives, look for the noun and then ask which one, how many, those types of questions. Okay, so that's right. How about the who, which clause, Christian?
Who had robbed them?
Yes, good. Starts with who, all the way to the end. Who had robbed them? W/W. How about that clause, Zach? It's going to start with the word that and end on a noun or a pronoun. Are you there, Zach? Oh, there you are. Okay. The that clause starts with the word that. Zach, are you there? I don't see you anymore.
I turned off my screen because it was glitching.
Oh, that's fine. Okay. Can you tell us where the that clause is? I can't tell if you're thinking or if you're not sure, Zach, but I don't know what's going on. I can't see you now either. Okay, if you leave your
I'm
camera off.
glitching out. It's glitching out, so I didn't hear what you said right now.
Oh, can you help us find the that clause? It starts with the word that and it goes to a pronoun.
That they would rob everyone.
Perfect. There you go.
Right.
You got it. Yep, that's it. And then we're just going to write that on top of that. And then, Christian, what about the main clause?
Followers declared.
Actually, in this one, it's going to include the adjective. So Robin's followers declared. That is the main clause. Okay. I know earlier in the practice, it didn't include like the ly adverb opener, but this one we do need Robin's followers. Okay. Subject verb pairs. So Grayson, where are the verbs at?
Declared.
Good. Declared is one. Go ahead and mute Christian. Where's another one?
Rob.
Yep. Yes, this one, Rob.
Robbed.
Yes, robbed. There's a couple of helping verbs in here too, right next to the verbs.
Would.
Good. Would.
Had.
Yes, you got it. That's all of them. Good job. Now the subjects, I'll help you find those, Zach, but look at just the main clause here. Who declared?
Followers.
Good. That's the subject there. Who would rob everyone? Who's the subject in that clause?
They.
Good. And the last one?
Is that everyone?
Actually, that's part of that clause. So it would be who had robbed them. So in a who which clause, it's always who or which most of the time. So it's actually
All right.
who, yeah, is the subject. That's a tricky one. And then the opener, Christian, what kind of an opener do we have here?
Subject opener? Wait,
Yes. Go ahead.
it's an adjective though.
Okay,
So
I was just going to explain that. It still is considered a subject opener. You're right. Even though it starts with an adjective, that's okay. Sometimes there will be an article or an adjective or something in front, and that's okay. It's still considered subject. So that's a number one, subject opener. Good. Capital, you guys probably already know that. It's Robins, and then the period at the end. I got to ask you guys, when you do your homework, do you get stuck on anything? Is there anything that kind of hangs you up like, "Ugh, I can't remember how to find these? Is there anything that you get stuck on, like adjectives or verbs? Not really. Because I want to make sure to tell you the little tricks to help you with that. And the biggest trick I can tell you is to try to do the ones you know first. Save the harder ones till the end, and then if you have to go back and look in the lessons, you can go back and that can help you too. But all right, let's put away the grammar and get out your binders next. I don't think those are no. All right, you guys worked on the dangerous birds. I'm kind of multitasking because our dogs are, we have some big like livestock guardian dogs. I don't know if you know what those are, but they got out last night, so our neighbors are helping us try to find them. I'm sure they're fine, but we just live in a big area, so it's hard to know where they would be. But some of my neighbors are texting me, so if I seem a little distracted, that's what's going on. Just hope they make it home. All right, dangerous birds. You guys finished that up. Does anybody feel like reading their report? Okay, Grayson does. Good. Go for it, Grayson. You have it with you, or do you want me to pull it up for you?
Can I print it out real quick?
Yeah, or I can share my screen, whatever's easiest for you.
You can share your screen.
Okay, I'll do that. Let's see. Let me find you real quick here. There you are. I haven't had a chance to grade it yet, but that's okay. I will definitely do that. Hopefully later today. That's my goal.
Wrong one.
Oh, that's right. I have two Graysons, and you spell it the same even.
Mm.
Sorry about that. Grayson, what's your last name?
Reborn.
Freeborn. Yes. Okay, got you.
It might not be in there because I had to unsubmit it because I had to like do something and then the class started. So I forgot to turn it back in.
I actually have it. So it's still with me. So whatever you did worked.
Okay.
Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do the African ostrich and then I'll go down.
Oh, I see. Okay, hold on just a second. Oh, so the hooded pitahoui's on a different page.
Yeah.
So here's something I do want you to do. And you know what? It didn't turn into me. You're right, because this should be blue up here, this return button. So after class, what I want you to do is add like cut and paste or copy and paste your hooded pitahouи paragraph and put it above the African ostrich one. So it three paragraphs all together. And then the other thing is you don't need this right here. Just treat it like it's three paragraphs, it's one report. So you don't need these subtitles. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, but I do like your title though. The blue right here, that's good. Okay, so yeah, let's just do these two paragraphs for class, like read these two for class and then fix that other page later so I don't have to try to find it.
Okay.
All right, whenever you're ready.
The African ostrich, which is the largest bird in the world, measures 7 feet in height and weighs 300 pounds. The African ostrich dashes easily over 40 miles per hour. It has been reported that the African ostrich can kill a lion. There have been incidents where ostriches have killed humans in the past because they've gotten provoked. The African ostrich eggs can weigh over 3 pounds. Ostrich's hide is used for nice luxury products.
Nice.
An ostrich egg is equivalent to 24 chicken eggs. The African ostrich is the largest bird in the world. I'm so amazed.
Awesome. There you go.
The southern cassowary is a dangerous bird. This cassowary is the most dangerous bird in the world and is the third largest bird. The southern cassowary, who can frequently run 30 miles per hour, it can boost itself and swim across the wide rivers and some oceans. They have a murderous nail that can slice through your arm or cut through your abdomen. It will charge, then jump, and will kick you with its murderous nail and will break your bones. Cassowaries have to be careful because of feral pigs that might try to destroy their nests. The southern cassowary is the most dangerous bird. That is so cool.
Awesome. I like it. You guys know what to do in the camera. Good job. I like it. Good job, Grayson. So a couple of things I just want to point out really quick. I love that you got your topic clinchers. It's perfect. You, instead of highlighting, you changed the font color. I'm okay with that. If you ever want to try the highlighter, it's this one. So you can always, highlight it with your cursor and then click a color. But that works. I see them. African ostrich and then African ostrich. You got southern cassowary and then southern cassowary. So that's awesome. That's the topic clincher. For your other words for dress ups, I'm just going to show you because this is a Google Doc, so I get to actually manipulate some things here. I'm going to take off that underline. So this is really all you need to underline for the which clause, okay? Just the word which. And I like that you have dashes. That's a good strong verb, and easily is your ly adverb. And same here for your because clause. You don't need to underline the rest of the sentence. Just the word because, like that, okay? So this is how it should look. That looks really good though. And then this one, I think, did you highlight frequently as your ly? Is that what you did? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. So only who, and then frequently should be black. So I'll fix that really quick. Let's see. And, oh, no, it turned green. That's weird. Let me fix that. Hold on. Font. I thought that was black. Oh, I have to check it. There. And then underline it. Check that. There. So that's how that should look. Okay, Grayson. Just keep it regular black font, or color, and then just underline those words. And then you have the word boost. That's good. And then again here for because, I'm just going to take off the underline for all this, just so you know what it should look like in the end. So when you cut and paste that hooded putahui paragraph, make sure it's like that too, and you can add it to these, okay? And then you can turn it in after class, but good job. I really liked it. Excellent. All right, you guys. So if you're not done with the dangerous birds report, keep it in your front pocket. If you are finished with it, you can put it away in your finished folder. The pink page, this one goes in a different spot. So that's the only page. Let me show you. Actually, I take that back. There's a couple of pages you're going to put in your actual writing binder. The pink page with the ly adverbs, this one. Put this pink page behind stylistic techniques. That one does go in a different spot. So in your binder, toward the back, you'll see a tab that says stylistic techniques. You'll see a yellow page in there and another pink page. Put this behind that other pink page in your writing binder, your regular binder. Stick that in there. Close up your rings. And then this yellow page right here, this one needs to go behind model charts and outlines. So look for the tab that says model charts and outlines. Let me know if you guys know if you need help with this. It goes behind the other yellow pages, behind that tab, model charts and outlines in the back of that. Okay. And then close up your rings for that one. And then everything else that you have for dangerous birds can go away in your finished folder or binder. Whatever you keep this stuff here, put that with your finished stuff, wherever that goes. Okay. And then go to the source text tab at the beginning and go ahead and get out week 8. It's called Mike the Headless Chicken. I think you guys are going to like this story. Mike the Headless Chicken. There's 3 pages you're going to get out for that. Page 75, page 77, and 79. Those 3 pages for week 8. And then you do need a lined piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, and then you're all set. All right. Have any of you heard about Mike the Headless Chicken? It's actually a real thing that happened. It's a real chicken. It was from a long time ago, so we're going to read about this, but it's kind of a crazy story. But go ahead and get out your lined paper first. We'll start there. We're gonna take some class notes here and review a couple things. So go ahead and put your name here on your lined paper, first and last, and then you have 11/14 is the date. Skip a line. We're going to call this Mike the Headless Chicken. Notice that the first letters in Mike and headless and chicken are capitalized, but the word the is not capitalized. It's a little rule about capitalizing a title. Always the first word of the title, no matter what it is capitalized. And then beyond that, the keywords. So you're not going to need to capitalize the. We're going to call this the KWO. We're going to build one of those. All right, so thinking back on the dangerous birds report you did, it was kind of nice because each article was its own bird. So you had a whole article about the hooded pitihui, a whole article about the southern cassowary and the African ostrich. So it was easy to see the topics. But I just want to remind you the difference between subjects and topics. We're talking about summarizing a reference, okay? And so go ahead and skip a line over here. I'm going to have you write that word summarizing a reference. This is what we're practicing right now. And that's basically giving a report about something. And these are real events, real situations, real things that we're reporting on. But remember, I talked about the beginning of that word summarize. The prefix is sum, and it makes you think of math. It makes me think of math. And adding numbers together, the total is the sum. But really, remember how we talked about this last week? We're looking for some, S-O-M-E, some information. So we're going to read, this story is pretty long, and I'm calling it a story. It's really an article. It's got facts in it about a real event. But it's pretty long, and there's a lot of facts in here. But you're not going to retell all of it. You're going to only retell some of it because that's what we're doing. We're summarizing. You're telling some of the information. Go ahead and skip a line, and I want you to write that word subject. And right underneath that, topics. And then let's put some colons in here. Subject and topics. And we're just going to review a little bit. The subject is the main thing we're writing about. So when you guys wrote about dangerous birds, the subject was dangerous birds. Your topics were hooded pitahui, southern cassowary, and an African ostrich. Those were the topics, okay? But what if you're writing a report about California? Let's write that down. These are just notes for us to look back on, but go ahead and write down California. Let's say your assignment is to write about California. That's your subject. What are some possible topics about California that you could write about? What are some things you know about California? Grayson?
It is the Golden State.
The Golden State. Good. And I'm going to hold off on putting that as a topic, but I want you to be thinking of like things about California, like beaches. That's always the first thing I think about. We have a lot of great beaches, right? We've got Avila, we've got Pismo Beach, we've got Morro Bay, Cambria, Monterey. I mean, you can name a ton of beaches, right? Because we live right on the edge of the United States on the water. It's pretty cool. California is pretty special with their beaches. What else do we have in California? What else do we have here? Beaches. We have some big cities, right? Go ahead, Grayson. Did you have an idea?
Mountains.
Mountains. Yep, for sure. We've got Yosemite, Tehachapi Mountain. We've got,
There's valleys.
say that again?
There's valleys.
Valleys. Yep. That's right. Did I spell that right? Is it IES? No, it's not IES. Valleys. Sometimes words look weird to me. Has that ever happened to you too? Yeah, it's just I did it right. Other things like weather, for instance, you could talk about the weather in California. We have amazing weather. My daughter used to live in a lot of different states. She lived in Oklahoma for a while, Texas for a while, Montana for a while, Wyoming. She's been pretty much all along the western side of the United States, even South Dakota. She lived there for a little while. And she said there is nothing like California, especially the weather. So you could talk about how it's beautiful. Like most of the time, it's beautiful in California. So you can talk about the weather. And the other cool thing about California is we have some big cities like Los Angeles. If you wanted to do your Christmas shopping and you go to Los Angeles, you could find anything you could ever imagine there in Los Angeles. Big cities with big shopping. We've got some awesome restaurants. California is one of those states that has a variety of restaurants more than other states. Like you could get any type of food you want. Thai food or even Indian food, or of course, there's always great Mexican food in California, Italian food. I mean, really anywhere. So this is an example of topics that you could write about California. So subject would be California. These would be your topics. Now, today, though, you're going to learn about Mike the Headless Chicken. So go ahead and skip a line here. And let's put subject again with a colon. And this time we're going to write Mike the Headless Chicken. And then we're going to be looking for some topics about Mike the Headless Chicken. We're going to choose some topics about him to write about. Now, your goal is 3 topics, right? Your goal is to write 3 paragraphs. Now, it's not going to be as easy to find as it was for the dangerous birds because it's all in one article. So we're going to look for the topics about Mike the Headless Chicken within the article. So how we're going to do that is read it and label each paragraph what the main topic was in that paragraph so we can make a collection of topics to choose from. All right, so we're going to go to the article next. So go ahead and find the article, Mike the Headless Chicken. And I'm going to read it. Like I said, we're going to take some notes in the margin to help us remember what these topics are. This is a strategy to use anytime you have a report to do. And even in science or history, any other classes you have, you can use this technique turn this light off here. There we go. You can use this technique to help you organize for your paper, okay? So, I'm going to go ahead and read it so you guys can focus on what it's about, and then we're going to make a note in the margin, but it's called Mike the Headless Chicken. On September 10th, 1945, Lloyd and Clara Olson of Fruita, Colorado, were killing and processing chickens to take to the meat market. So they were butchering, okay? This is farm life. So they were butchering their chickens and selling the meat. One of them was a 5.5-month-old Wyandotte rooster. That's a type of rooster. The chicken squirmed, and the Olson's axe failed to make a clean cut, removing the bulk of the head but missing the jugular vein and leaving most of the brain stem and one ear intact. Sorry if you get kind of grossed out over stuff like this, but it's a true story, so we got to look at it. It's a true story, okay? So in those days, in the 40s, and some people still do the same way today, but in those days it was common to use an axe to cut the head off of a chicken to butcher it, okay? This is different than killing or murdering or something like that. We're talking about butchering animals that we eat, okay? We consume chicken. And so this is how they did it. And the chicken moved, Mike moved, and the way he moved it as the axe was coming down left part of his brain intact. So I'm going to keep going. Surprisingly, the headless chicken was still able to walk. It attempted to preen, which means like cleaning itself, peck for food, and crow, although its crowing was more of a gurgling sound from its throat. It was placed in an old apple box for the night, and when the bird was still alive the next morning, Olson took it to town with the rest of his carcasses. He started betting people that he had a live headless chicken. Gradually, word spread around town, and eventually the local news reporter came to interview Olson. Lloyd and Clara had begun to care for the bird, feeding it a mixture of milk and water with an eyedropper and giving it small grains of corn. Okay, so I'm going to pause there for a second. So basically, he's like, hey, this is weird. My chicken is still alive. I'm going to go bet people in town and make some money. So he's like, hey, wait a second, this might be a money making opportunity here. So these two paragraphs really talk about who the owners are, right? We talk about who the owners are, the accident that happens, and then how they're taking care of this headless chicken. So in the margin, I'm just going to have you turn your page this way to the side. And I'm just going to have you next to that first paragraph, I'm going to have you write the words, put it toward the edge here, owners/accident. It's this paragraph is talking mainly about, that's a C, by the way. Fix that. ACC. Accident. Mainly talking about who the owners are and the accident that happened with their chicken or their rooster. And this one here is talking about the care and feeding of Mike. And it also talks a little bit about the abilities he can do without a head. He's preening, he's trying to preen, he's trying to peck for food. So I'm going to put here abilities, wait, oops, hold on. My spelling skills are lacking today. Abilities / care. How they took care of him. So we got the first paragraph says owners and accident. Second paragraph says abilities and care. So what we're doing is keeping track with of these paragraphs and what they're mainly about. Zach, can you give me a thumbs up or something, an emoji, so I know that you're tracking with me, okay? Because I can't see you, so I just want to make sure you're with me. Okay, thank you. Next paragraph. 2 weeks later, a sideshow promoter named Hope Wade visited the Olson farm with a proposition. Take the chicken on the sideshow circuit. It was the 1940s and the farm was struggling, so Lloyd thought, might as well. First, they took the rooster to the University of Utah in Salt Lake City, where scientists did some testing and verified that, yes, indeed, this was a living, breathing, but headless animal. Have you ever been to the circus before, or have you ever heard of a circus or seen it maybe on YouTube or something? What a circus is? Okay, because they used to have, this was popular. It's not as popular anymore because people think that they abused the animals, so they stopped it basically. But in the 40s, a circus was when we had clowns, we had acrobats, there were animals that did tricks. They balanced a ball on their nose, or they jumped through a burning fire hoop, or something like that. If you've ever seen The Greatest Showman, the movie The Greatest Showman, he's part of a circus. The sideshow was the freaky animals, like freaky things that people would pay to go see, like a two-headed goat or something like that. Like freak things in nature. And then they would put these things in its own little building and people would pay to see, because they hear about a headless chicken. That can't be real. They go, hey, pay a quarter, find out, see if this thing's real. And then they'd pay to go look at it. This is called a sideshow. I'm going to keep going. Life magazine published an article on Miracle Mike the Headless Chicken, as he had been named by Mr. Wade. Then Lloyd and his wife and Mike began a tour of the country. They visited California and Arizona, and when the Olsons had to return to harvest their crops, Hope Wade took Mike on a tour of the southeastern states. People paid 25 cents to see this remarkable sight, and it was estimated that he earned for his owners as much as $4,500 in a month. That's pretty dang good money. I know, like back then in the 40s, that would have been like $100,000 a month today. So they were making bank on this. All right, in the margin here, next to the paragraph that starts with 2 weeks right here, I want you to put fame/sideshow. And I'm going to have you draw an arrow down to this paragraph too, because basically both of those paragraphs talk about the fame and sideshow. He became famous, and the sideshow is that part of the circus where they pay to see something. Okay, I'm going to keep going here. In the spring of 1947, the Olsons again took Mike to Phoenix, where one night in a hotel room, they were awakened by the sound of Mike choking, his throat filled with mucus. Normally, they would have cleared this with a syringe, but unfortunately, their feeding supplies were left at the sideshow location, and they were unable to find an alternative before Mike suffered and died. So sadly, he died. So we're going to write just death next to this one. This is how he died. Okay. This is on that back paragraph. They probably figured he wasn't going to live super long, but kind of a sad way to go. His grandson stated that for years he, which is Lloyd, would claim that he had sold the chicken to a guy in the sideshow circuit. I think he didn't ever want to admit he screwed up and let the proverbial goose that lays golden eggs die on him. Olson never told anyone what he did with Mike's dead body. So the proverbial goose that lays golden eggs, you've probably heard of this story. It's like a nursery rhyme. The goose that laid the golden eggs. It was just a made up story, but basically meaning it brought them money. It was a money maker. Proverbial means figuratively, like not literally a goose that laid golden eggs. It's representing that. Okay. So for that paragraph, let me see what we got here. That's pretty much talking about a little bit more about the death. So I'm just going to draw an arrow down here for that paragraph too, because it's talking about what they said about his death. So it's related to that. How did a chicken live for 18 months with no head? Dr. Tom Smulders, a chicken expert at Newcastle University, explained that there is very little brain in the front part of a chicken's skull. It is mostly concentrated at the back. He estimates that while the beak, face, eyes, and an ear were removed with the hatchet blow, as much as 80% of the brain remained, including the parts that control heart rate, breathing, mobility, hunger, and digestion. It seems that in Mike's case, the cut came in exactly the right place, and a timely blood clot prevented him from bleeding to death. So it's basically a freak accident. And he lived. And that's how he lived. So let's put in the margin here. How alive? How was he alive? How was Mike alive? How did he live, right? How was he alive? So I'm just going to put how alive for that in the margin. We're labeling these to help us remember what these are about. So we can make a list of topics here. Okay, keep going. Others tried to replicate, this is weird. Others tried to replicate the Olson's accidental and remarkable decapitation. But no one has yet succeeded, and the wealth that Mike brought to the Olsons was short-lived. So basically that means other people tried to do that with their chickens, see if they could make a headless chicken so they could make money, and they couldn't do it because it was, like I said, a freak accident, meaning they didn't mean to do that. It just happened that way. So you can't plan that, basically. Although they were accused of getting filthy rich, their grandson affirms that while they did get a new tractor and a new car out of it, they continued to eke out a living on a farm for the rest of their days. That just means eke out, just means they lived out their days working the farm. They didn't make so much money that they didn't have to work ever again. They still had to work. But this was after his death. So I'm going to put after death here. After death on that paragraph. That's the one that starts with others, okay? Since 1999, I hope you guys are writing these notes in the margin because you're going to need them later, okay? Since 1999, each year around the end of May, the town of Fruta holds an annual Mike the Headless Chicken Day celebration with themed events such as Run Like a Headless Chicken 5K race, Pin the Head on the Chicken, Egg Toss, and Chicken Bingo, a game where the numbers are determined by chicken droppings falling on a numbered grid. Peep and wing eating contests, live music, and artisan booths make this a memorable weekend for the old and young alike, while commemorating the remarkable story of one chicken's will to live. So this is still talking about after death. So I'm just going to draw a line here. This is a little bit more about how he was famous, because they still have these Mike the Headless Chicken days. They still do in Colorado. I don't know when it is, but I bet you could look it up online and find out when it is. Weird story, huh? I'm going to show you really quick a picture of this guy. It's for real. And by the way, it's a black and white picture, so it's not going to be gory. Just forewarning you in case gore grosses you out. But it's weird. Mike the Headless Chicken. All right, because this was in the 40s, so this was back, in black and white photo days. All right. Sharing my screen here. Crazy stuff. Here's Mike. Let's look at this one. So this is how they fed him with a little syringe, a little dropper, like a little eyedropper. But that's so there's part of his brain is still intact there. So that's how he stayed alive. This is a creepy picture. Look at that one. Hold on, where did it go? Oh, yeah, there you go. There's his head down there by his feet. That's not supposed to be there. Crazy, huh? Can you imagine seeing this thing walking around? Christian's like, no, I can't either. But I mean, they made some money off this guy. Poor Mike. Not a very good quality of life. I just want to say that. But they did take care of him. They fed him, probably pet him. Anyway, for real. All right. So now we read the article. We're all set with our topics. So what I want you to do next is copy these topics here on your note page that we worked on earlier where it says topics. So the first one was owners/accident. So go ahead and write down these topics. We have owners/accident. And then the next paragraph we had abilities/care. IES, I spelled that wrong. Fame/sideshow. See what I'm doing? I'm taking our notes from the side notes that we put on these paragraphs, and I'm making a list now. On the back, we had death. Then we had how, alive, and then after death. Go ahead and copy those down. Those are from our margin notes for each paragraph, making a list now. All right, on the back of this, I want you to flip this over to the back. I know we're going kind of fast here, but I gotta catch you guys up here. On the back is where we're going to build our outline. So go ahead and put Roman numeral 1 here at the top left. And underneath that, you're going to do 1 through 5. And then that word clincher. Topic is in the margin here. We're going to fill this in really quick. Skip a line. Let's do Roman numeral 2. And skip a line, Roman numeral 3. I'm going to have you guys focus on only Roman numeral 1 today. So this week, you're going to focus on just the first paragraph. All right. So now you got your outline all set to go. You only are going to write about 3 topics. So when you look at your topic choices on this side, whenever you're telling, summarizing a reference like this, you need to give some background information to include in the beginning. So I think the first part where it talks about the owners and the accident, and we can combine that with abilities and care. So this is going to be your first paragraph. So I'm going to put a Roman numeral 1 here representing your first paragraph. You're going to talk about who the owners are, what the accident was, and what Mike's abilities were and how they cared for him. That's going to be your first paragraph. So we're going to combine those two. So you guys with me okay? You're tracking with me okay? Okay, good. And then so switch it back over here. So we've got for your first topic, I'm just going to use a capital M to represent Mike the headless chicken. But in the very top up here, just make a note about that. Put an M like this, and we're going to call this Mike the headless chicken. That's who we're referring to when we have an M. That way we don't have to waste all those words on one of the, a piece of information that we want to put on our outline. I'm going to help you just start with this topic because it's kind of a lot to squeeze in here. I know from that first paragraph that this happened in 1945. So I think that's important to mention the date because it didn't happen yesterday. It happened a long time ago before we had a lot of things that we have now. And the owners were the Olsons. And they were butchering. I'm going to help you with this first one here. They were butchering their chickens and taking them to the market, right? They were butchering and taking to the market. I'm just going to put market here. And now your homework will be to just finish Roman numeral 1 and write the first paragraph. So you can, what I want you to do is just draw a line through here just to remind you, you're not going to do 2 and 3 yet. We're going to save those for next week. Focus on the paragraphs that talk about the first 2 paragraphs, basically, the owners in the accident, this paragraph, and then his abilities and care. So you're just going to focus on those first 2 paragraphs to come up with facts for numbers 1 through 5 that support what happened. They were butchering. You're talking about the owners, the accident, the abilities and care. You're going to focus on those facts in that first paragraph. Does that make sense, you guys? So do your keyword outline, following the same rules, only 3 words. You can use numbers and symbols for free. Fill in the facts from those first 2 paragraphs only. And then write your first paragraph right here. And don't forget to use the checklist. I forgot to tell you guys, there's a new banned word on there. We're going to have to talk about that next week, but it's go went. So don't use go or went anymore. Try to think of a different word to use, and we'll review that next week. So, all right, you guys, we're out of time. That went by fast. Good job today, and I will see you next week.
See you next week.
Sounds good. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.